You may have noticed something a little bit new here. First of all, when you came in, you got a different pin. And here on our new logo here, for the next year, you're going to see that we are celebrating 175 years as a medical school. We were founded in August of 1843, and the first students came in November. And we kicked off our year-long celebration at the Alumni Weekend this month, and you're going to see something every month talking about 175 years. We got a lot to celebrate. 6 of the first 7 women graduated from an allopathic medical school. Yes? No kidding. The early insertion of research and science into a medical program that brought us recognition by Abraham Flexner. The new curriculum in 1952 that actually spread across the country and revolutionized the way that doctors are educated. And a lot of other things coming up in the next 50 years that we're going to talk about over time. So this past year has been a pretty tumultuous year. We are not used to seeing a presidential budget that recommends nearly a 20% cut in the NIH. Now, Congress did come to our rescue on that very promptly, but they did not come to our rescue on the zeroing out of some of the CDC items, the zeroing out of PCORI and AHRQ. We had to work hard for that, and our government relations people worked very hard in the lobby to convince Congress that they wanted to put those back into our budget, and they did, the national budget, and they did. But boy, that was a squeaker. And then the state came in $1 billion short this year. So the state went out and scrambled and cut everything, including their support to medical schools. So we rescued some of the dollars that they originally cut, but not all of them. On the hospital side, our hospital affiliates were buffeted by, we're going to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, we're going to hold the Affordable Care Act, we're going to undermine the Affordable Care Act, we're actually going to provide the money for the Affordable Care Act. You could be forgiven if you get whiplash out of all of this. It's been, and then, you know, our own medical expenses at Case Western Reserve were really quite high, and we wound up with increase in our fringe benefit rate. It's been a buffeting year. But through all this buffeting, when things like that swirl around you, you got to look to your pole star. And the pole star for us, I think, is the mission. What we're about here is making great discoveries, and if they are suitable for it, advancing them to benefit patients. That's what we're about. We're about creating the very best educational programs for medical students, other health professionals, scientists, and biomedical PhDs. That's what we're about. And we're all about improving the health of our community. That's the pole star. So with all this swirl and Sturm und Drang, we got to hold on to the principles that we believe in and our mission and our goals. And boy, I think we did that this year. Let's talk about what happened in research. So just a little recap. I'm not going to go through this whole thing because you have this in the Medicus. By the way, welcome back to Medicus. This is a great thing, and here's the whole thing there. You don't have to consider this an eye test. You've got it actually written out for you there. Lots of things. Jay Ankeny and Claude Beck in 1969 performing the first successful off-pump open heart surgery. I emphasize successful. You see up at the top in 1906, the first modern blood transfusion using a cannula to join blood vessels performed by surgeon and then faculty member here, George Kreil, who eventually went on to found the Cleveland Clinic. 1997, first artificial chromosome, Hunt Willard here. You know about Sandy Markowitz's colon cancer screening discoveries, and there's Brian Grimberg's point-of-care malaria testing. We have done a lot of things that have changed the face of medicine. I commend all of those to you. So what are we doing lately? So we have, in the last year, built upon our strengths and added areas of research that I think are going to propel us well into the rest of the 21st century. The Cardiovascular Research Institute got a new leader in Sanjay Rajagopalan. The Center for RNA Science and Therapeutics renamed and reorganized under Jeff Collar. As of next Wednesday, we have a new chair of neuroscience and a director for our Brain Health Initiative, Lynn May. The Stand Up to Cancer Dream Team contains John Wang. And this in the colon cancer world, this is a very important opportunity that we are going to be able to take advantage of. Bob Bonomo, a world expert in antibiotic-resistant bacteria, is establishing a Case VA Care Center, joint between our basic sciences and our Veterans Administration Hospital. Nicole Steinmetz is establishing the Center for Bio-Nanotechnology. Many of her nanoparticles are plant-based, very creative, very original. And the Center for Community Health Integration aspires to weave together many of our community programs and integrate them not only with our own programs, but with programs in the community under the direction of Kurt Stange. We're launching a lot of important things. So I've been very proud that our faculty are aspiring to the very top journals, and they're getting their papers published in the very top journals. This not only gets our name out and gets our reputation up, it also provides into the community, into the scientific community, the opportunity to interact with us and see what's going on and allowing us to drive the science. So these are journals that our faculty have published in just in the last year, and the purple names are the CWRU faculty and students who participated in this. Now these studies range from Vikas Gulani looking at the impact of magnetic resonance fingerprinting in the diagnosis and care of prostate cancer, all the way to very, very basic stuff with Tony Winship-Boris using induced pluripotent stem cells to create organoids to study lissencephaly. So this is really a wide range of science, from very basic to quite clinical, published in the very most prestigious places. The other thing I want you to notice about this is that these are almost all teams. You know, they're teams within Case Western Reserve University. They're teams that collaborate outside of Case Western Reserve University. These are associations that really drive science by bringing together expertise, not only what's available next door, but what's available around the country. We are going wherever we need to go to get the help and the expertise to do what we want to do and accomplish what we want to accomplish. So congratulations on these papers, but also congratulations on all the other papers that we can't possibly list on our slides today, but you know that you've been driving the science forward. We've done pretty well in the grant space as well. Rose Gubitosi Klug continues to obtain funds for her multi-center clinical trial on diabetes in children. This is a very important study, and unfortunately, diabetes is becoming a lot more prevalent in children these days. It's absolutely critical. Ben Gaston studies oxidative damage and the way to combat it in airway epithelium. And this is going to be important, I think, for children with asthma and with cystic fibrosis, near and dear to my heart. Pat Catalano and John Kerwin work on more traditional concept of metabolism, obesity, diabetes, metabolic syndrome. Pat on the issues in pregnant women, and John on more general issues of obesity. The cancer space was a big winner this year. Sandy Markowitz renewed his SPORE grant, and down on gastroenterology, you see Amitabh Chak, who renewed the BetterNet grant. Stan Gerson and his team just had a bang-up site visit for the Case Comprehensive Cancer Center. We are still holding our breath to get the full review, but boy, if you were there, it was a pretty impressive presentation. Suzanne Brady-Cowney and Nicole Steinmetz are holding up the women faculty end and burning up the track. In a single month, Suzanne pulled in 5 grants, one of them a very large NIH grant that is based at the university but requires a corporate partner. And what she's developing is her peptide that binds to cancer cells and can both be diagnostic and, I hope, potentially therapeutic. Very cool stuff. Nicole submitted 5 NIH grants, but only got 4 of them. The other one, I don't know what happened to her, but it only scored on the 18th percentile. So she is really rocking and rolling and working with nanoparticles and new materials to deliver therapeutics to cancer cells, and also to activate the immune system to kill off the cancers. And that's a very hot topic and a very important topic nowadays, because it's likely to have less toxicity and less side effect. In pathology, Cliff Harding continues his tuberculosis work, and Rafiq Sekali, he's got remarkable stuff on virology and the progression or lack of progression of HIV. And in infectious disease, Henry Boom, Michael Lederman, and Jim Kazura represent the big 3: tuberculosis, HIV, and malaria. And we continue to have wonderful support for all of those. Jonathan Haynes, not 1 but 2 grants on the genomics of Alzheimer's disease this year. And Fabio Cominelli pulled in a very large grant on inflammatory bowel disease. He also published a wonderful paper on diet and control of Crohn's disease. And I think Fabio is going to take the prize for the widest audience, because even compared to all those wonderful papers I showed you, Fabio got published in the AARP journal. Not too shabby. In the education space, we have been at this very well since 1843. We talked about the women, the Flexner Report, the new curriculum, but we are also 14th in the country in graduating our students into successful faculty positions around the country, and 14th in graduating African American physicians. On the PhD side, we graduated Nobel laureate Paul Berg, who remains very much engaged with the school. Nobel laureate Fred Murad, who served several terms actually, on our board of trustees. Nobel laureate Earl Sutherland made his landmark discovery of cyclic AMP when he was on the faculty here. And inventor Leonard Skeggs received his PhD here. Dr. Skeggs invented the multi-channel analyzer. What we all, those of us with a little gray hair remember is the SMA analyzer that allowed multiple tests, diagnostic tests, to be done on a single sample of blood. That was invented by a guy right here. And just in a little personal note, I used to have the lab in the VA that housed the original instrument that was about the size of this stage and entirely made of glass. Our graduate programs have been doing very, very well. Our admissions to the master's program are up 8%. We successfully launched the PRIME program together with the College of Arts and Sciences. So what PRIME is a program to help our bent arrows. You know that Case Western Reserve is famous for admitting bent arrows to its medical school. Those are people who don't necessarily have a traditional background in coursework for medical school, but they still have to meet our requirements. So the PRIME program is designed to help people who are English majors or religion majors and decided later to come to medicine to meet those science requirements, and also to have some little experience with patient-based activities, so that they're sure that this isn't just a wonderful idea, that it's really something that they want to do. So this, I think, is going to be very helpful. We've always had a commitment to bent arrows. We've always had a commitment to non-traditional pathways into medicine. And this is kind of putting our teaching where our mouth is. The PA program welcomed its second class, and we had masters in medical informatics and an online nutrition certificate approved. We are initiating the process of developing a Doctor of Physical Therapy program in keeping with our interprofessional theme in health professions education. Our PhD programs have done very, very well, and I think some of that is fueled by our ability now to support the first year of the PhD program with tuition and stipend, so that the advisor doesn't have to take the person on in the first year when most of the time is being spent in the classroom and there really isn't a commitment to the laboratory that they're ultimately going to work in. So I'm hoping that that really does help, and we are working hard to make that a permanent program by raising endowment funds that will keep that going in perpetuity. I wanted to call out a particular program that's been in operation for 10 years here. It's called CasePREP, and we have been funded by the NIH for this initiative, and over the 10 years we have admitted 60 students to this program, 59 of whom finished it. 49 of these folks have entered PhD or MD PhD programs, 16 of them right here at Case Western Reserve. 8 of them have since earned their PhDs. The attrition rate in the PhD programs, the national attrition rate is about 30%. Our prep students attrit at the rate of 4%. That's pretty impressive information and a pretty impressive commitment to diversity in the biomedical research force. And our 2017 class went to all the top places in the country. It's really a terrific program. So we have made a commitment to underrepresented minorities, not only in admissions to our medical school, which were quite successful this year, but also in trying to supply the country with well-prepared, enthusiastic students in the PhD line, and we're very proud of that. So here are the newest ones. Here's our entering medical school class. Once again, they are spectacular in their academic achievements. Once again, we were more attractive than medicine in general. Across the country, applications fell 2% to Case Western Reserve. The applications went up by 2%. So we got a wonderful crop, and they are not just nerds. They are not just academically wonderful. They engage with their community. Some of them came with PhDs, some of them with master's degrees, many of them with talent in sports. We have a roller derby queen. Many of them with talent in music and and dance, and I'm sure we'll see that at Dock Opera the first Saturday in December. We have a private pilot. I only aspire to have a private plane. But we have a great group of students, and I'm sure that when you encounter them in small groups or in other teaching settings, you too will marvel at the quality of students that we're able to attract. They make us terribly proud. I just called out a small segment of students that have done extraordinary things. There are a number of people here who are HHMI scholars, NIH Medical Research Scholars, and Sarnoff Scholars that are on there. But Ian Drummond here is the undifferentiated medical student. So if you read the YouTube podcasts, or if you see the YouTube podcasts in science and medicine subcategory, he has a podcast called The Undifferentiated Medical Student. And he is very popular. He's regularly in the top 5 podcasts that are accessed. And for a few days in January, he hit the #1 spot. We love it. Noble Jones, who's beside him here is a student at the CCLCM who came to us after 15 years as a NASA engineer. And he's awarded a US patent for a GI tract perforation closure device that attaches to an endoscope. I'm sure Jim Young and I see a bright future for Noble in biomedicine and biomedical engineering. Let me see. This is Gloria Tavera. She was named by Forbes magazine as one of the 30 under 30 that we should be paying attention to because of her work on an association trying to assure that drugs are available in developing countries at an affordable cost. This is the CWRU chapter of the Asian Pacific American Medical Student Association, which won Best Chapter in Education and Best Regional Conference this year. For education, they developed an exceptional program called Leadership and Health Initiatives that was called by the national director who reviewed the work of all 90 chapters, hands down the most effective program. Not too shabby. So we're very proud of our students. These students are working at St. Luke's. I believe they're CCLCM students, and they are working on a diabetes obesity program based at St. Luke's and specifically directed toward the Hispanic community there. I mean, these kids are spectacular, and I think that they're going to do us proud when they leave as well. And we graduated a wonderful group in May of 2017. We launched them off. 25% of them are at residencies in the top 10 hospitals in the country. These folks are going out to change the world, and I like to think that we, as their teachers, had some part in that. We have been educational innovators. Interprofessional education has been incorporated into our curriculum. The foundational coursework has been happening year after year after year, and now we have a pretty much improved version of this. This year, 700 students from the medical school, the dental school, the nursing school, the social work school, nutrition, public health, I may have missed one, but they all came together for the foundational course, 700 divided into 2 groups of 350. The Aging in Place program is a very creative program that the School of Medicine did together with the School of Nursing. And actually, the pilot program was catalyzed by Jewish Family Services, who identified elders living in the community who would be articulate enough to provide practice in history taking and also interested enough to have a visitor from a team, an interprofessional team, every other week for 4 months. This turned out to be a program that was extremely popular, extremely well rated by the student teams, but it was also extremely well rated by the individuals that they visited. And it gave the students a concept of what goes into health for elderly people. And it's not just what happens in the treatment room and in the doctor's office and taking pills. It's a lot broader than that. This is a terrific interprofessional program. We had a grant from the Macy Foundation to create a pilot program on interprofessional teams in clinical environments. And 2 of our FQHCs and 3 sites at the Cleveland Clinic Lerner College participated in this pilot program. So the FQHCs were mostly outpatient. The pediatrics at the Cleveland Clinic was an outpatient. And there was also a team in the ICU and a team in the emergency room. And I have to tell you that the Macy Foundation, who's worked very closely with us on this, said, ooh, you don't want to do the emergency room. Nothing good can come of putting a team of students in the emergency room. Well, I'll tell you, the top-rated team that came out of that pilot was from the emergency room at the Cleveland Clinic. So you can never predict the commitment of the teachers and the commitment of the individuals who go into that program trumps a lot of other structural, no pun intended, a lot of other, I didn't realize that, a lot of other elements that might make it different. So we've been very proud to collaborate with the other schools, with our PA program, and with our affiliated hospitals in creating a dynamite pilot program. You've heard a lot about holoanatomy, the holograms and the anatomy program that's being developed. We are putting it into classes next year in a larger scale, at least 40 students at a clip, and we're going to be testing it compared to more traditional anatomy education. Despite our enormous enthusiasm for the HoloLens and our thought that the way the HoloLens anatomy course can be developed will provide better in-depth education on the anatomy, this is a belief, and it needs to be tested in the real world with the students. And we need to make sure that they learn as much and that they're enthusiastic about it and that they can go back and review in ways that they couldn't review before. So all of those things are going to be tested. Pat Thomas and her team have devised, and Clara Papp have devised the methodology to make sure that we don't get carried away by our own enthusiasm, and that this really is what we think it is, which we think is going to be another revolutionary item in the curriculum. Our pathways are rocking and rolling this year. The urban health pathway is the oldest pathway. It's about 6 years running. And it's time to look at it in the light of new information and refresh it. And Lisa Navacruz has agreed to work on that with us from Department of Family Medicine at UH. The Jack, Joseph, and Morton Mandel Wellness and Preventative Care Pathway is run by Hope Barkoukas, who is the interim chair of the Department of Nutrition. This pathway has turned out to be incredibly popular, and we believe from our investigation it is the only wellness program in any medical school in this country that is evidence-based for nutrition, exercise, and stress reduction. Now, this program is intended not only to have the student understand how to maintain wellness in him or herself, but also how to teach wellness and convey wellness to his patient population. And I don't think we as physicians have done a very good job of that up until now. And I think that that's one thing that we absolutely need to do. Now, Hope can only handle, reasonably, physically, 8 or 9 students in a year, but I understand that after the selection was made, 30 students stormed her office and told her that they were desperate for the kind of education and nutrition, particularly that she was providing. So she's developed some online modules that can be accessed by the students. And we're working to see how best to develop this for a larger cadre of our students. That's a pathway that is accessed All of these pathways can be accessed by either university program or CCLCM students. The MSTP students are too busy with rotations and graduate courses really to be able to access these pathways. The Health Humanities pathway, headed up by Susan Stagno, has a strong cadre of 5 or 6 students a year who are interested in understanding the intersection of humanities and medicine, which I think is very important for the patient contact, the patient empathy, and our ability to continue the great tradition of Case Western Reserve, where the patient is at the center of things. We are now in the process of developing an entrepreneurship in medicine under the leadership of Mamoun Ganoum. He has a very active committee. We are putting this together now, and many students are really looking forward to that. So we have a lot of innovative things going on. Many of you are aware that LCME visited us in March. So we did it. We were fully accredited for 8 years. About a third of medical schools who go through that accreditation process are not fully accredited for 8 years. Now, I never expected anything different from the education group, both at the university program and at the CCLCM. I see some of them. Would everybody who worked on that 1,000-page report stand up? I see Jim Young back there, Pat, and Colleen and Mimi. Let's give them a hand. So the final report does not contain any praise, can't contain any praise. But when the review group left us, they left us with a written report that did indicate some things that they thought were tremendous strengths, and you see them here. Innovation pervades all of our school missions. I think they got that one right. Curricula promotes self-directed and lifelong learners. That's certainly our intent. And I think their judgment that it accomplishes that is critical. Our affiliated hospitals align with our values and humanistic practices. Our broad research portfolio supports the unique technologies. We have an intensely collaborative culture. The implementation of the strategic educational goals is effective, and they expect that the health education campus is constructed to enhance interprofessional education and, direct quote, positions the school for future growth and innovation. So I'm pretty proud of what we got there. Yes, indeed. Now, that doesn't mean that they didn't pick some things that we really do need to work on. So the issues that they identified were that we need to be a little more careful in assessing our students and giving them feedback during their clinical clerkship. They said that we had to be a little bit more careful in observing their history and their history taking and their physical examination. And that we also needed to be very careful to deliver feedback mid-clerkship so that the student had a chance to improve. Particularly in the university program, they felt that the career advising needed to start earlier and be more intensive. And finally, particularly in the university program, they felt that financial aid and debt management counseling was critical and that the student educational debt was too high. And I agree that our student educational debt is high. There is no question about that. But we, for the last, 4 or 5 years, we've been working on a scholarship program as part of our capital campaign. We've progressively increased the goals of this capital campaign. So now our goal is $80 million for scholarship funding. And we're $65 million toward it right now. Now, of course, when you raise money for scholarships, a lot of your alumni give you estate gifts. And they may be eating the early bird special in Florida, but they look pretty good to me. These pledges will eventually be fulfilled, but not all of them have been fulfilled to date. So one of the things that I think that the LCME did note was that we have plans in place to address all of the issues that they identified. And we're working very hard to do so. So congratulations to everybody who did that. Phew, 8 years. And we're very pleased. Now, that wonderful building that they identified as having so much potential, that first picture is September of 2015. And since then, it's gradually grown and grown and grown until last week, it looked something like that. Finally looks like a building. The cladding, the glass cladding, is set to be entirely completed by December, which means they can go into it and work on it on the interior, which is going to take quite a while because there's a lot of interior there. So we are definite, and they are on track to turn it over in February and for us to, of 2019, and for us to have our first class enter in July of 2019. Very exciting. We've also been working hard to improve the health of our community. There are a number of important programs that I wanted to highlight. One of the things in Pecora is a big grant to Sue Flockey to control smoking, to reduce smoking. And since Sue got that grant, we've had Monica Webb Hooper join us, whose specialty is controlling smoking in minority populations. Cleveland needs this. The rate of smoking in the inner city of Cleveland is 36% compared to the national average of 22%. And Sue and Monica are working very hard to change that, and I think we need to give them all the help we can muster. The impact study, which was designed to look at obesity in middle schoolers, I think is completed, and the data analysis is ongoing, so we should have a lot more information very soon on impactful programs to change the obesity epidemic. Gucci. The Greater University Circle Health Initiative. Did I get that right, Kurt? Community Health Initiative. So that we think globally, but we're trying to act locally. And the Greater University Circle is a challenge with respect to health. And Kurt is our lead representative to that program and is working with the Cleveland Foundation, our neighborhood hospital systems, and many other local agencies to try to change the healthcare. Joan C. Edwards. Joan C. Edwards, a number of years ago, gave us a grant to allow one student a year from John Hay High School of Science and Medicine to go with a free ride through our undergraduate program, and if they do well enough, to come into the medical school and have a free ride through medical school. We are now on our second student. Nichelle Ruffin is a second year, and Anise Bowman is a first-year student, and I'm pleased to tell you that they are both doing very well. And the money managers of this foundation are trying very, very hard to grow it so they can afford a second student. And we would love that. The Cuyahoga County Board of Health, we have increased our collaborative activities with them, in part by embedding a faculty member, Heidi Gull, at half-time. And this has been really a partnership that has accelerated the health improvement project for Cuyahoga County and a number of other collaborations that I think have been very helpful for the town. And finally, First Year Cleveland, which is based at the medical school and with Mike Constant. I've been in Cleveland for over 30 years. This is the first time I have ever seen the city, the county, and the state all put money into the same initiative at the same time. We really have to do something about the infant mortality in Cleveland. It's double the national rate of infant mortality, and it approximates the infant mortality in the Gaza Strip. Not okay. Mike has also taken on the challenge of a statewide program to reduce cardiovascular disease, particularly heart attack and stroke. And the mechanism that they have chosen to do this is by controlling hypertension. We have an increased rate of hypertension, particularly in the cities. Better Health, used to be Better Health Greater Cleveland, now it's called the Better Health Partnership, has strategies in outpatient clinics that have resulted in much better control of blood pressure. And we have here Jackson Wright, who the author of the critical study SPRINT that shows that even 140/90 is high because you can do better with secondary events if you treat to 120/80. So we are trying to promulgate best practices across the state and across the primary care practices. And this is a real opportunity to change, to bend the curve of healthcare. It's expensive to have a stroke or to have a heart attack. Also, people who survive are sometimes disabled, and it's expensive to manage them. So if we can manage this, we can control the antecedents, it would be a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. Well, you know, people say that the love of money is the root of all evil, but if you don't have money, you can't carry out your mission. So we have to pay attention to our finances and make sure that we can afford all the great ideas that we have. So let's take a look at some of these. This was a good year for NIH. Combining our funding with the CCLCM funding, as you see here, puts us number 17 in the country. And we've been on a steady upward trend. Our fundraising has set records every year of the last 5. $70 million this year. It's a really spectacular achievement for Carol Moss and her team. Support from industry and foundations. We always want more, and the dollar amount isn't as great as we would like, but certainly the trajectory is in the direction we want. As for foundations, we've done very well. It looks like we've had a fall off, but actually I think that that may be an accident of timing, because a grant that we have as a Gates grant that we have as a subcontract from another university didn't send us the paperwork in the 365 days that are counted here. So I think we still have the funding, it's just we can't, in all honesty, show it to you on a graph like this. So I think we're still doing very, very well on all of these. Tuition revenue has grown. Part of that is the master's, part of that is the university's increase in the dollar amount of tuition, but we have also grown the number of individuals in our master's program. We have invested in scientific entrepreneurs. Mark Chance's program to accelerate commercialization includes support from all of these sources, and has resulted in investment of recently, including the recent investments, $50 million. So recently, just in the last 3 months, Thermalin, our specialty insulins from Mike Weiss's lab, has received a huge investment from Sanofi. Stan Gerson and Sandy Markowitz's technology that is first going to be tested on accelerating engraftment of bone marrow transplant has developed Rodeo Therapeutics that received support from Accelerator Inc. And Paul Tesar has established a company that is completely Cleveland funded called Convelo, and he's looking at what drugs for multiple sclerosis and other disorders where myelin is deficient will actually increase myelin, not just control the inflammatory response, but increase myelin. In order to get more money, people have to know about us. So our communications have really been enhancing our reputation. You can see all the places that we've been cited, and you have here, we've relaunched Medicus, we've got new plasma screens, and our media mentions and our social media shares are way up. We want to hear about your achievements. So if you have something that you think is newsworthy, could be a great paper, it could be a new grant, it could be an award. We don't necessarily know about these. So you got to tell us, and those are the email address, or go on our website and submit your event to us so that we can publicize it. And we'd love to see it come up in this next year. So we do face a challenge, and this year, the year that we're in now, is going to be the biggest challenge. As you can see, we came out of a pretty deep hole 10 years ago, and we got ourselves into the black, into the green zone. That $5.6 million deficit last year was entirely accounted for by the new affiliation agreement with university hospitals. That resulted in $13 million less coming into the medical school than came in fiscal 16. This year, the year we're in now, there will be $20 million less than came in fiscal 16. So you can see that if 13 million less came in and we're at $5.6 million deficit, we have already mitigated a lot of the impact. And if 20 million less coming in turns into $7 million deficit this coming year, we have already mitigated a great deal of that impact. But clearly we have to do more. We're going to be looking for revenue sources, and we're going to have to control our costs more effectively. We simply cannot afford to provide some of the services that we used to be able to provide at university hospitals. And because I think that our colleagues at university hospitals share our values for research, I'm sure that the faculty will feel supported on that side where the dollars now reside. So it's all about you. This is all about the people. How did we do all that? How do we have all that success in education and research and NIH and foundations and tuition? It's because you guys did what you do best. And I'm incredibly proud of you, and I'm incredibly proud to be your dean. Let's look at some of the most exceptional achievements. Bob Bonomo this year, Mr. Antibiotic-Resistant Bacteria, won the Middleton Award. The Middleton Award is the highest award the VA has for research. This is really a biggie. People who've gotten the Middleton Award have gone on to win Nobel Prizes. So, I mean, this really is a big deal. Serpil Erzurum was elected officially just last week to the National Academy of Medicine. That is one of the highest honors in biomedicine in the country, and we're incredibly proud. She is the director of the Lerner Research Institute, and her leadership will be greatly valued over the years. The APGAR Award of the American Academy of Pediatrics went to Richard Martin for a career's worth of excellence in neonatology. Nima Sharifi, who is a prostate cancer researcher at the Cleveland Clinic, was the principal author in one of the top 10 research papers named by the Clinical Research Forum, an incredible paper that I think will be important and will change the practice of medicine. Steve Rudrick, the 2017 Research in Medicine Award. At the AAMC, our Vice Dean for Research, Mark Chance, won the Sharing Resources Award. Now, he isn't going to the AAMC meeting next week, so I get to present it. Isn't that nice? And just in the nick of time, the information was released for Paul Tesar. We've been dying to talk about it. But he won the 2017 Robertson Stem Cell Prize from the New York Stem Cell Foundation, which is really a big deal in the stem cell world. We're very proud of him. Yoshi Imanishi, the 2017 Peace Heart Award from the Lighthouse Guild, and Darcy Friedman Paper of the Year in the American Journal of Health Promotion. NIH gives out a very few outstanding investigators awards. They are highly competitive, and we got not one, not two, not three, but 4 of them. Mukesh Jain for his work in Krupple-like factors. Mukesh is a vice dean for clinical programs and is the chief scientific officer at university hospitals. Dr. Massajuski, Jaroslav Massajuski, is a famous cancer researcher at the Cleveland Clinic. Sandy Markowitz for his colon cancer work in the cancer space. We just told you about his SPORE grant being renewed. And Bruce Trapp is a researcher par excellence in myelin and multiple sclerosis pathobiology, and he is I think still the chair of the neuroscience department at the Cleveland Clinic. He keeps threatening to step down and concentrate in his lab, but I think he's still the chair. Nicole Ward, Secretary-Treasurer for the Society of Investigative Dermatology. I assure you that is the right designation. Vikas Kulani is an Aunt Minnie semifinalist. Can't make this stuff up. Mahmoud Ghanoum, we got lots of fellows this year. Mahmoud Ghanoum in the American Academy of Microbiology. Nick Zayats in the American Institute for Medical and Biomedical Engineering. Joe Lamanna in the American Association of Anatomists. Lena Maida was elected to the board of directors at the American Medical Women's Association, and George Thompson, for a career in pediatric orthopedics, got the Distinguished Achievement Award from the Pediatric Orthopedic Society of North America. Really quite a remarkable crew. Carol Rosen was elected director at large for the American Society of Sleep Medicine. Dr. Jingguo Chen, president-elect of the American Academy of Pain Medicine, and my senior associate dean, Lisa Mancini, received the Inspire Award celebrating women from the McGregor Foundation this year. At the university level, we have a new distinguished university professor, Mark Chance. Every year, the medical school gives out a Medal of Excellence in Health Science Innovation, this year to Fabio Cominelli. At the university level, Suzette Zayats got the President's Award for Distinguished Service. Paul McDonald, the Senior Leadership Award. Jackson Wright got the highest award for faculty that the university gives, the Frank and Dorothy Hummel-Hovorka Award, that's awarded at commencement. And his whole career has culminated in great discoveries on controlling hypertension in African American populations. We got mentoring awards, university mentoring awards. Alex Wang for graduate mentoring and Jeff Garvin for undergraduate mentoring. Not too shabby, we're cleaning up, you know. University 2017 Distinguished Research Awards went to Ruth Carey, Mark Griswold, and Fabio Cominelli. Great examples of long careers that make a difference and move the needle. These are just new appointments. These aren't Distinguished Research Award. These are new appointments. Tomislav Mihalovic on January 1st will become CEO and president of the Cleveland Clinic after 13 years at the clinic and a great run at Abu Dhabi. Bernie Boulanger was named Senior Associate Dean for the Metro Health System, and as of Wednesday, Lynn May becomes our Chair of Neurosciences. Joe Sabick was named Chair of Surgery at University Hospitals, Bob Salata, Chair of Medicine, and Jonathan Smith, the Chair of Molecular Medicine at the Cleveland Clinic. George Dubiak moved from the MSTP to the BSTP. Colleen Croninger, Associate Dean for Basic Sciences. New Society Dean, Todd Otteson, and Steve Riccinati assumed leadership of the Society Deans and is Associate Dean for Student Affairs. Marge Greenfield on the School of Medicine Faculty Standouts, she got the Faculty Mentor of the Year Award this year for mentoring other faculty. Dana Crawford from the Department of Population and Quantitative Health Sciences. I get that right? Got the Faculty Diversity Award, and Usha Stiefel got the STAR Award. They're somebody who has labored in the background, done a heck of a lot of work, and was finally recognized for the excellence that she has provided. The women faculty at the School of Medicine have chosen a number of people. The Helen Evans Mid-Career Award went to Heather Gornick, Mary Hellerstein to Wendy Goodman and Susan Sharp, and their big award, the Toyoko Yamashita Award, named for a faculty member from pediatrics who passed away untimely a number of years ago, Karen Horwitz. Well deserved for all of them. Our staff are often our unsung heroes. So I'm proud to tell you that Susan Brill got the Joan Harris Staff Development Award. There were new awards for staff this year. The Staff Mentoring Award, Staff Mentoring Staff, went to Jay Myers, and Edna Fuentes-Casiano got the Staff Diversity Award. Turns out Edna was one of the founders of the Spanish Language in Medicine program. It started out with just a few people in it. Now is well over 100 students at 4 levels. Really a remarkable job. And Dorothy Canapari in microbiology and molecular biology, Staff Star Award. Wonderful people. We have a long list of folks who have been here for 10 years, who turned 10 years on the faculty, on the staff this year, and a few that we recognize for their 25 years or even 35 years of service. So we're really very proud of all these people. Our emeriti, we have a wonderful crop of emeriti, and we hope they're not going to be strangers. I can tell you that I'm sure that some of them will be back. They're wonderful teachers. They're wonderful colleagues, and they're very devoted to the profession. So it's going to be an interesting year. We're going to be seeing us back and forth about our heritage. So I hope some of these things look sort of familiar for you. I particularly like this one. Can you read that? It says Future Bent Arrow. Cool. So there are a lot of things swirling in the environment and a lot of challenges that we've had to face. But I think our faculty and our staff have risen to this like superheroes. Whether you're Princess Leia or Batgirl or Wonder Woman, but I also think that our faculty and our staff are always reaching upward. And that's where we have to be, in spite of the turmoil swirling around us. I have to tell you, I'm incredibly proud of what you all have done this year. Everybody has stepped up and worked very, very hard, and that is what has put us in the good position we're in right now. Thank you very much. I'm incredibly proud to be your dean, and thank you for coming this morning.